If you like this episode, please subscribe, share with others, rate and review so we can continue to bring you great programming.
This is The Thing About Cars, a podcast for car enthusiasts and the people who love them.
Hello, this is The Thing About Cars. I'm Mickey Desai. Around the table, we have a full crew today. Tim, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great, thank you.
Excellent. Ben, how goes it?
Pretty damn good. How about you?
I'm good, thank you. Misty, how are you?
I'm making a hat.
You are making a hat. That looks like, is it going to be like a ski hat, the ski mask?
It's just going to be a floppy beanie.
Oh, floppy beanie. Excellent. Dawn, how are you, Dawn?
I'm fine. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
All right, good. Then my equipment's working.
Yes.
Okay.
So the one question I have for us all today, or actually it's not really a question. I'm sending a package to Misty, and she's just going to have to wait to learn what's in it.
Mickey's mystery pack.
What's in the box for Misty?
What's in the box, man?
So the two French drivers in Formula One took each other out. Is that what I'm looking at here? Why are their cars? Oh, I see. Why are the tires so bloated?
They're just large tires these days.
Okay.
Yeah, they're just super big tires, and today was actually a historic day in F1.
How's that?
This is the first race that ever had 3 red flags. And I'm just, my biggest regret about today is that Kimi Räikkönen is no longer driving, because that would have been a chance for 3 ice creams.
3 ice creams? What?
Yeah. Well, it was, what was it, Brazil, wasn't it, Tim?
Ooh,
Yeah, I think it was Brazil where there was a red flag and he just jumped out of the car and ran to the freezer and was just standing there with an ice cream.
yes. Okay, yes.
That's kind of how Kimi is.
Right.
So, Dawn, we haven't had the pleasure of having you at the table for a while. How's life? What's going on?
It's life.
Yeah.
It keeps going on. I'm on this side of the grass, so that's a good thing. Yeah.
That's definitely a good thing.
Yeah. Life just keeps going on and on and on.
Yep. Ben took Yelotus out to a car show. How'd it go, Ben?
Oh, pretty good. It was the usual monthly worship cruise in, as it's known. But it's significant because I was up till 1 o'clock this morning putting a radiator in the car. I managed to score a deal on a used but larger aftermarket higher performance radiator. The car has been running hot quite a bit on the original radiator is a little tiny thing that came out of a Spitfire. Yeah, which is fine if you're in England, but not so much here in the sunny southern U.S. So I've got this bigger aftermarket high zoot radiator in it, and it ran ridiculously cool both ways this morning. So
I'm happy to hear that.
Me too.
That's awesome.
Yeah. You went to the Cherry Blossom Festival too, didn't you? Or the whatever that was in Brookhaven?
I did, yeah. Our good friend Greg, organizing that show.
Yeah, I'm sorry I couldn't make it to that. I was really looking forward to seeing you there, but
it was good.
Yeah.
I got to park next to a 62 Thunderbird.
Wow.
Ooh.
Bird is the word.
Ooh.
Yeah, and then a Mini on my other side.
Cool.
Nice.
Right. Very cool. Well, soon, very soon, I don't know how soon, but sometime within the next couple months, we'll be recording, or I will at least be recording from my new recording studio / office.
Yay!
My wife and I have made an offer on the house. They've accepted it. We've gone through due diligence. There's some things that still need to be tweaked, but the closing is expected to be on the 12th. And I can't wait to show you guys the new house and have everybody over.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Awesome.
Congratulations.
We'll have a guest room for the first time in 3 years. I can't wait to make use of that and have folks over and
Wow.
and entertain without bumping into each other in this kitchen. So I don't know if our listeners may know that when Jen and I got married, we piled into all our stuff, my stuff, into her 900 square foot condo, and
So you're telling me that's like a one-butt kitchen?
It's a one-butt kitchen. That's exactly right. And there's so much stuff behind me that if it weren't for this screen, you could see how cluttered, and it looks like a hoarder house. There's this path that goes from area to area, right? And I'll be glad to get some more space. get my stuff out of storage and just have more fun in the new house. Yep.
Did the
All right, so you
condo
told us about
sell?
the kitchen. You told us about the spare bedroom. What about the garage?
So thank you for asking,
Yeah.
Tim.
Yeah. I say this is a car show. Let's get to the garage.
Let's get to the garage. So currently it only has a 2-car port, with like a gigantic workshop room attached to it. What we're going to do is we're going to actually build a 3-car garage on the property with a workshop in the back and presumably some loft space in it. So that may happen next year. That may happen 2024. If I play my cards right, it might actually happen towards the end of this year.
Yeah.
But that is definitely on the agenda. So we'll have to have 2 parties. We'll have to have a housewarming party and then a garage christening party.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah.
The second sounds a lot more fun, actually.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. Heck
So
yeah.
did you sell your condo, and are you near where you used to live?
We're about 8 minutes away from the current house. It's just outside of 285 for anybody who knows what the perimeter is here in Atlanta. And no, Jen wants to keep the condo and rent it. So that's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Good
Multiple revenue
investment.
streams.
Yep.
All
Good
around,
stuff.
way to go.
Absolutely. Way to go. So Misty, have you any clues what might be in the box? Is there anything you would like there to be in the box?
I don't think the Krispy Kreme donuts would make it.
No, they would not. So
But that's, you know.
yeah, we had on our agenda today to talk about catalytic converters. And I can't remember what spurred that conversation. Can someone clue me in?
Well, it's, last month was birthday month for 3 of us, and we all had to take our cars in for emission. And it just strikes me that a lot of us, because of the current crunch of used, the cost of used vehicles, the cost of new vehicles, we're keeping our cars longer. There's even data that's showing people are keeping their cars longer, which means when they go to the emissions and their car might be running totally fine, if their check engine light's on, they're not going to pass. And there is actually a product that you can put in your gas tank, and it kind of cleans up that catalytic converter so that it'll pass for the emissions test. And that just got me thinking about, catalytic converters, the only purpose is for cleaning the air that comes out of your gas, your pipe, whatever, your gas tank or your fuel, your engine. Actually, it's early this morning for some reason. I'm really tired. Your engine, and so just kind of thinking about, people could just keep dumping this stuff in their gas tank, but who's going to want to replace a pretty expensive performance piece of equipment? I mean, you don't need a catalytic converter to drive a car.
No, in fact, if my understanding is correct, it actually robs your car of a little bit of power. But it like they say, the catalyst in there does reduce emissions. So let me rephrase that. Does reduce harmful emissions.
The performance difference is not what it used to be.
Right. It's about 2 to 3 horsepower.
Yeah, it's negligible today versus 50 years ago when they started being introduced.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. And to talk about what guaranteed to pass does, you have to back up a little bit to what's involved in an emissions test, because emission tests aren't required in all states or all municipalities, and there's 2 different types of them. So back before 1994, when all vehicles just had as part of their ECU communication software, it was called Onboard Diagnostics 1, which was every company, every manufacturer, say, had their own general software that would, as far as what faults might be related to the performance of the engine, as far as what sensors might be reading out of range. After that, OBD2 came along, and everything was standardized. So before, if you had an OBD1 vehicle, you actually had to have a test where they put the sniffer up the tailpipe, and you ran your car on a rolling road dyno.
Yep.
Afterwards, now it's just what they call the readiness test, because there's everything has been standardized, so the emissions testing software can read if there's ever been, within the last 100 miles, I think there's any faults that have been generated.
That's a great question. So if there's a false generated, and then you don't pass, they give you a month to rectify whatever the problem is. But if your check engine light's coming on and you've taken it to your reliable mechanic and they're like, they don't know what's going on, your check engine light. So then you stick this stuff in your tank, you fill up your tank, you stick it in your tank, and then your check engine light goes off. You take it back, you haven't driven 100 miles, you pass, you get to, get your little sticky dude that you're good for another year. So that's kind of like, it's not working.
Well, if I remember correctly, the way OBD2 is set up, you have to drive, I think it's 100 miles for the system to clear out those fault codes completely. It's either 100 miles and or a certain number of start engine on, engine off cycles with a certain amount of driving on each cycle. And what guaranteed to pass is, from what I've heard, it's a combination of two things. It's a good fuel injector cleaner, and also I believe it has a good bit of alcohol or ethanol content to it. So cleaning
really,
out,
I should be putting the vodka in, and
believe me, I think the guaranteed to pass stuff is cheaper.
yeah, that's true.
So is it worth it or not?
Oh yeah, it's worth it because it worked. I mean, last month one of my vehicles was not passing. We couldn't figure it out. Check engine kept going on. We filled up the tank. We put in the stuff.
I would say worth it depends on your priorities.
Okay.
If all you want to do is pass the test, yeah, sure. But if you actually have some respect for what the emission control system is supposed to do, then no.
Right.
And in fact, I wonder if, even though it's faking out the oxygen sensor or something like that, I wonder if metabolizing this stuff in your combustion is actually producing some other emission that
it has to.
That might.
Yes and no. I mean, all fuels that you get at your gas pump have a certain amount of fuel injector cleaners in them.
Right.
Yes.
And so some have more, some have less. And also, some vehicles are more prone to having their fuel injectors clogged, especially in, I'd say more vehicles from the 80s, 90s. The modern fuel injectors are a lot more clog resistant than older ones were.
Hmm.
But since it's a fuel injector cleaner, it makes the fuel injector work better. It makes sure that the fuel injector is spraying the correct amount of fuel every time it's triggered, and also gives it a good spray pattern, making finer droplets, which are atomized easier, which burn completely, giving you better emissions, better power, better mileage.
Okay.
So the question is, does my GL, which is a 2012, is just being ornery? because like my check engine light came on again this week for one whole ride back and forth from work, and then it went off again.
Yeah.
And I haven't put any of the stuff in. So this is so now we've got another issue. Like, why in the world is this thing just coming on haphazardly and then going off haphazardly?
I think you've got a sensor.
Fuel tank, or I was about to say, is your gas cap not sealing properly?
Nope. Gas cap perfectly fine, brand new one.
Okay, so there is some inexpensive communications equipment that you can put into that same OBD2 port that they use at the emissions check station, and that either by wire or Bluetooth you can connect to your cell phone, and with an app read what that actual error code is for. You may have a check engine. The last time I had a check engine light on my 2001 Chevy Astro, it was not for the engine itself. It was a transmission fault.
So we had my wonderful mechanic do that, and he said it just keeps saying fail.
Huh.
So
there's no corresponding code. This is just the most bizarre thing that I've ever seen.
Well,
the ghost in the machine.
Today's over-technologized German vehicles get funny when they age.
Oh,
it's only 11. It's a baby.
I mean, things can get as weird as you may have put the wrong battery in when you if last time you changed out the battery. I mean that's how persnickety. I know that's it's a BMW thing in particular.
Yes, where
you can't just go out and buy the same size battery. It has to be the exact clone battery, and it's not. It's more
right.
It's more high tech.
And I wish that was the problem, but where our battery is under the passenger seat, and you can only take it to Mercedes to get that battery replaced.
Nice.
So that's
weird.
not a battery problem.
My guess
Yeah,
is my guess is that you've got a sensor that's going bad.
But then we should get a code. We should be getting some code in there.
That is true.
Right.
That is a good point.
Maybe it's the sensors that are sensing the sensors.
That's nonsensical.
Who watches the Watchmen? Is that what you're saying?
The fact that we've taken it to the emissions place, my personal mechanic, and Mercedes, and they all can't figure it out is really strange. So,
well, there's only one thing to do, Dawn.
Yes.
They drop the engine, put in something much bigger with a supercharger on it.
All right. Yeah.
I was just going to say send it to Mercedes AMG Petronas. Probably do better than the car they have now on the track.
Oh.
The car's had an engine failure.
Misty with the zinger bringing us back to F1. That's hilarious.
George Russell's car caught on fire this morning. Flames. I mean, it was it was amazing.
It looked like a rocket with the flames coming out of the top.
Well, he definitely did not pass.
No, he did not pass that Parc Ferme.
So Tim, forgive me, I neglected to ask if we had trivia today. Did you have anything for us today?
Oh dear, no, I don't have anything lined up. Sorry.
Do I have anything lined up? This may be one of our first episodes without a moment of Grand Trivia Auto. Oh, I've got one for you. And in fact, Excellent. Tim may have sent us this.
So it's Tim by proxy?
It's Tim by proxy. It's which V8 powered American car was the first to get electronic fuel injection as standard equipment? Was it standard equipment? So which V8 powered American car was it? A 1976 Cadillac Seville 5.7 liter engine? Was it the 1982 Chrysler Imperial with the 5.2 liter engine? Was it a 1984 Lincoln Mark 7 with the 5 liter engine in it? Or was it the 1972 Chevy Corvette with the 5.7 liter engine in it? Which of those? So let's think about that for a second. We've talked a little bit about F1. So Misty, did we cover that at the beginning of the show? Historical race today with 3 red flags?
Yep. First time there's ever been a race with 3 red flags.
So we're talking 3 major wrecks, right? Is that what happened?
Well, it was just 3. I wouldn't say it wasn't major wrecks. It was just there was enough debris or hazards on the track that it wasn't, well, at least for the first 2, that they felt it wasn't safe to even go with the safety car. And the last one was because when Ocon decided to beat Gasly to death with a baguette, there were only 2 laps left in the race. And if they had gone with a safety car, we would have kind of...
Yeah.
Wait, was that actually the one, or was that the one where Magnussen's tire just went bouncing off across the track?
Right. That was Magnussen hit the wall, and so that triggered I
think his tire just hit the wall.
Race.
Yeah.
And then on the restart from that, yes, the 2 French Alpine drivers ran into each other because one was not watching his mirrors, didn't see the other one coming up to pass him. Yes.
Well, surprise.
Yeah.
If you've ever driven in Paris, you will not be surprised at that. And I just want to say that this morning at, oh my God, o'clock in the morning when I was up for the Australian GP, 20 drivers started the race.
Mm-hmm.
12 finished it.
Right. Wow. Yeah. In that same last period, we also had our American driver, Logan Sargent, run into the back of Dutch driver Nick de Vries, and they went off, had
fisticuffs.
Pardon?
Did they have fisticuffs?
No, this is not quite, the NASCAR of old, It was, and we had Carlos Sainz running into Fernando Alonso.
That was almost
Civil War.
Yeah, that one. Even the Sky people were like, Sainz might just want to take the back way into the motorhomes because if Fernando catches him,
right,
it's not going to be a pretty day.
Yes, yeah. So,
but speaking of Fernando, let's give mad props. 3rd race, he's been 3rd in every race, so he's now like 9. He's like 3. He's like 3 cubed.
He's 3-peated. Is 3P3. Yep. Yes.
All right. Well, we're running out of time rapidly, and I should have monitored that a little bit better. Tim, do you remember the answer to this question?
I think so. So let me go last.
Okay. All right. Ben, what do you think? Which V8 American car was the first to get electronic fuel injection as standard equipment?
Yeah, just on a wild ass guess, I'm gonna go with the 72, whatever it was.
72 Chevy Corvette with the 5.7 liter engine in it.
Yeah.
Misty, what do you think?
I'm gonna go out on a weird limb and just go with the Lincoln.
Lincoln Mark 7 with the 5.0 liter engine in it from 1984. Okay. Dawn, what do you think?
You had another one. I'm trying to remember the first one you mentioned.
The other two were the 1976 Cadillac Seville or the 1982 Chrysler Imperial.
I don't know why I want to go with the Seville, but I'm going to go with this Cadillac Seville.
Okay. Tim, do you remember?
Boy, I thought it was either the Chrysler or the Lincoln. So I'll bite the bullet and say the Chrysler.
Okay. So it was actually the Cadillac Seville. Way to go, Dawn.
Uh-huh.
Nice. Yeah.
I don't know why I remember that, but somebody in my family had one.
Yeah.
Yes. And to put a finer point on it, I know fuel injection debuted on American cars back in the 60s on Corvette, but that was mechanical fuel injection and not
57
electronic
actually.
fuel injection. Yes.
That was 57 actually, the Rochester Ramjet system.
Right.
Cool. All right. That is all the time we have for today. Next week we're going to have a special guest, and I closed that window already, so I'm sorry I can't tell you who it is. It's
next
Mystery
week
guest.
on the day that the bunny comes to visit.
Yes, next week on the day that the bunny comes to visit.
I will not be in any state to participate. It's my birthday.
Oh,
I'm starting, and it's a very important one. And Tim will understand when I say it'll be a Sarah. So I'm starting to drink on Friday.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, if you want to come join us, Misty, we'll be always glad to have you at the table. But
if I'm sober.
We're interviewing Richard Prince. Richard Prince is going to be our guest. He's a very well-known photographer amongst the car world. And with our friends at Quarto Publishing, he's published this book on Corvettes. So we're finally going to get to meet with him on the 9th. And it should be a good conversation. And I'm working on a guest from Rivian, and I would love to get a guest from Hemmings and from what's the name of that car insurer?
Haggerty?
Haggerty. Yes, I would love to have someone from Haggerty join us at the mic. So I'm trying to reach out to them in case anyone has any connections and can help us reach out those people. We'd greatly appreciate it. In the meantime, everybody take care out there. The weather's looking good. Hope you're out for an excellent drive. Put the top down and get some sun, and we'll see you with another episode in about a week. Take care, y'all.
See ya.
Bye.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening. This has been The Thing About Cars. We'll see you on the road.